We are back once again with my series where I take a deep dive into a RWBY fight and analyze it frame by frame. Volume 9 came out and it unsurprisingly won the poll from my patrons. If you want a chance to vote for which fight I'll analyze next time, make sure to become a patron because it's always in their hands. Anyways, the ultimate winner ended up being the final fight of the volume, the Heroes vs. Neocat. This fight is a weird one because it's incredibly chopped up. Not only does the whole battle take place across 2 episodes, but periodically during the fight, we regularly cut back to Ruby talking to the blacksmith. The biggest critique I and others have had about this fight is the fact that cutting back to Ruby kills the flow of the action. But we'll talk about that more a bit later. But even with that being said, this is still probably my favorite fight of the whole volume, and I really liked all of the fights this time around. So let's dive into things.
I just need to cut her out.
Neocat is my favorite part. Both of their abilities individually are already amazing. The cat's teleporting / turning invisible powers, the way they can make their body defy physics, like floating around and stuff, their laser beam breath. The Neo has her extreme speed and acrobatic skills. Her semblance not only allows her to change her shape and appearance, but also now summons body doubles who can talk and fight for her. Combining the two together is a unique, powerful threat. Their different styles based around illusion and trickery complement each other so well when fused together, and I love it. Anyways, time to fight. The very first combative move is Weiss jumping out of the way of Neocat with a glyph. Now, Weiss's glyphs constantly confuse me. Are the white ones the ones that hold her down, like how we see in the Funky fight, or are the black ones the ones that hold her down, like during the Volume 8 finale? Regardless, this glyph seems to propel her away, and I wish the cat had bounced off of the spot when they landed, because seeing how they land kind of perfectly on top of the glyph made me think that was going to be a part of Weiss's attack, but I guess not. We see them get hit with a barrage of bullets from Blake, and as the camera turns, we can see how large this battlefield has gotten. The size of the arena changes periodically during the fight, like usual with Ruby, but I think they hide it pretty well here. I wish Blake's bullets looked more distinct, or maybe I just wish it was easier to tell Yang's bullets from Blake's. I initially thought this was a barrage from Yang. Like, I think a unique sound effect, or making Blake's bullets purple or something would be cool. If you pay attention during the camera spin, you can see Yang fighting off one of Neocat's clones. Cool. Blake wraps her ribbon around Neocat's arm, but after yanking her around a bit, she lands a hit only to reveal this was actually the clone, and the one we pull out to see Yang engaging with is the actual real one. I have many issues with how certain things look in the Maya engine, but this shattering effect they use for Neo's semblance is phenomenal looking. Ah yes, now that we've had 5 seconds of action, it's time to stop so the characters can talk some more.
Wait, we're letting you get to Ruby!
The fight is already so cut up with bouncing back to Ruby that I find it disappointing that we still stop everything to have the characters talk, especially since the action only just started after a lengthy conversation with Neocat to begin with. But at least this brief conversation gives us the nightmare fuel that is the not Rubies. I really wish these zombie-esque Ruby clones got used a lot more. In fact, Neocat barely uses any clones during this fight, which I find a bit of a shame. It's such a cool new ability Neo only just unlocked. While the clones got plenty of usage in the fight in her tea party, I would have loved to see it a bit more here. Cut away to Ruby, then back to the fight, and now it's Jean's turn to do something.
I thought Alex made it back home and lied about everything that happened.
Oh, we're still talking? Okay, great, cool. No, take your time. Jean does at least blast Neocat away with his shield while he talks, so it's not only just sitting around talking. Also, the lighting effects from his blast looks amazing here.
You were never a brave knight either.
As they spin over Jean, they clock him right in the back of the head, which has got to suck. And after a brief volley of slashes, Jean headbutts them in the tummy. Interesting move. I definitely wasn't expecting it. This spinning kick is one of my favorite moves from this fight. It looks so smooth and cool. This flurry of blows really shows itself off, and I love it. Jean, look at that high kick. You're gonna pull a hamstring that way. Neocat propels themselves back into Jean, who, after recovering from his kick, manages to notice in time and lands a huge huge slashing attack on the cat. A bit of a bummer with the shot though is we can see Blake and Yang being pointless and doing nothing in the background. They're not fighting a body double, they're not even looking in NeoCat's direction. I would have had the zombie Ruby clones milling around a lot, and we could see the others fighting them off. Then every time we don't see a character engaging directly with NeoCat, we could just assume they're fighting off the zombie Rubies. Jean comes in to stab them, and you know he means business because they've cast his eyes in shadows. Ooh, spooky. NeoCat transforms into Penny, which I'ma just say, weird choice. They don't know Jean's history with Penny. They had fallen off of the side of the bridges before Jean took Penny's life, so it's awfully convenient they pulled this character out for this illusion without knowing this would have caused him to pause so much. If anything, I think having Pyrrha be the one in his line of sight would have made much more sense to stop him. Or Ruby, or Ren, or Nora, Weiss, I don't know. Penny feels like the writers forgot Neo wouldn't know this information. I love the detail that the chain element on Pyrrha's headpiece now has physics applied to it. Those little things really go the distance. 10 out of 10. Also, one thing Ruby is very good at doing is big, flashy moves like this. It's bright and bombastic, but doesn't hurt my eyes when I watch it in full speed. Well done. Oh, look! During this wide shot, we can see the other girls are fighting off zombie Ruby clones. So it looks like they had the right idea, they just didn't execute it in a very good way. Have more clones milling around. Also, why is Weiss so far away from everyone? I know it's the joke of Blake and Yang have to literally do everything together, right by each other's side all the time, but come on. Weiss notices Jean is getting his shit rocked and launches a fireball, but it ends up going through a NeoCat illusion and blasting Jean away. After this, the rest of the episode is another Ruby scene, so then combat starts up in the next episode, at the 2-minute and 40-second mark, not including the opening of the episode. We have to watch Summer leave with Raven and more of Ruby talking before we finally get back to the fight. And even then, it's Jean's vision in the smoke cloud. I'll skip over his smoke cloud scene here, I just want to focus on the combat after all. But these interruptions are really the worst part. I'll break it down across the whole fight, starting with the first bit of combat. 20 seconds of fighting, 42 seconds of Ruby, 37 seconds of fighting, 1 minute and 13 seconds of Ruby, and then that's the end of that episode. The next episode starts and it's 2 minutes and 40 seconds of Ruby again, then it's 36 seconds of Jean talking in the smoke cloud, then it's finally back to combat for only 34 seconds. But then that turns back into 47 seconds of NeoCat breathing in the smoke cloud and talking. Then it's back to Ruby for 19 more seconds, then fighting for 7 seconds, Ruby for 7 seconds, fight for 8 seconds, then Ruby for 35 seconds, then literally 2 seconds of fighting in the background, 34 seconds for Ruby to come back, and then finally 49 seconds of combat to finish off the fight. If we add it all up, the fighting is 2 minutes and 37 seconds long, and the non-action is 7 minutes and 33 seconds. That's actually crazy. At the beginning, I said this might be my favorite fight, and I put that might addendum there because of this exact reason. While I love the choreography in this fight, I think all parties involved use really cool, interesting moves. The finale along with Ruby and the other girls together is especially fantastic, but the amount of how much the fight stops or is cut away from really hurts the scene. It makes it hard to follow and ruins the tension of the encounter. Anyways, back to the specifics of the fight. Jean pops out of the smoke, realizing they can use this to their advantage. He is the strategist after all. The cat flies at Blake and oh look, it's nice to remind us that Juniper is here. They don't do anything, but they sure are here. It actually looks like NeoCat is squaring up against Juniper before Blake comes flying in at an angle into the fray. Where are you jumping in from? Who was NeoCat attacking here? Were they actually going to fight Juniper? NeoCat volleys into Blake and she actually uses a shadow clone, which I feel like she barely uses her shadow clones this volume. Maybe they've just gotten a bit too subtle to notice most of the times. I wish they had more of a dynamic sound effect or a more noticeable fade effect when they fizzle out. After evading a hit from her, Neocat does this awesome mid-air backflip that sends Blake flying. The rotation of this one has such good motion to it. Weiss runs up and ices the area between Neocat and Blake, which, I'm going to be honest, Neocat could easily just walk around this. Anyways, maybe out of confusion, it does stop Neocat in their tracks, long enough for Yang to roll her ass Sonic the Hedgehog style up and above Neocat.
You're too slow!
She strikes her iconic mid-air pose, and then, for the first time in literally 9 years, we see Freezer Burn. It's really short, and they don't even actually land a hit on Neocat, and their fog effect goes away almost immediately after, but hot damn, it's just really nice to see it being referenced here, at least. I do wish it was more effective, though. As they're charging up, everyone's suddenly interrupted with Jean's tree burning idea.
Burn the leaves!
And I'ma be honest, Yang and Blake's leaf burning tactics are really dumb. Yang runs right next to the leaves to shoot them. Honey, bullets are for long range. You didn't need to do that. Also, this really highlights how Yang's gauntlets have changed over the years. She doesn't do a punch to fire her bullets, she just points her gauntlets at things and bullets magically come out of them. It makes her motions feel really stilted and makes her bullet use feel unnecessarily complicated compared to a normal firearm. And worst of all, it just doesn't look cool. And Blake runs right up next to the leaves and then leaves behind an exploding shadow clone to catch the leaves on fire, which, again, you could have just shot them. She only has dust infused in her shadow clone because the dust is in her bullet chamber. Also, compared to the last time we saw her shadow clone be used for a small explosion, this looks lame as hell. You can barely even see her clone before it turns into a stock fire effect. Anyways, Neo has a bad trip and a quick exorcism, and now the cat is in their final form. Oh, but actually it's time to cut away to Ruby for 19 seconds. After this point, until Ruby comes back to the team, we're only shown brief snippets of combat to montage with Ruby making her decision. It's such a shame. For being the boss's final form, we barely get to see the actual combat with them. It sucks so much because when we do see them engaging in combat, it's all really cool. I want more. That's my biggest gripe with this fight. I want more. We see the bees charge at the cat, and Yang barely avoids their claws. Jesus, you're lucky they didn't give you a haircut there. Yang has this huge wind-up, but then completely whiffs it. Seriously, it doesn't even look like she was close to hitting the cat. Maybe Yang needs glasses. New headcanon. Yang is farsighted. Get her some glasses. Blake and the cat evade each other for a bit before Yang comes back in for more, but gets grabbed by the cat.
Oh shit, I fucked up.
Oh, you want the bees to get together? Fine, I'll get them together. Get it? Ha 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 ha. When we cut back, Jean gets his kidneys rearranged. He's been really going through the ringer with this fight, huh? He's the first one to have his aura break during the fight too, but Juniper finally gets out of that one pose she's been in this whole time and runs up to defend him, which is legitimately sweet. Oh hey look, Weiss is still here. It's so easy to forget since she's literally done nothing this whole fight. Hasn't landed a single blow on Neocat or the big cat, hasn't had a volley with them, nothing. It's honestly really disappointing how the only time we actually see the three girls working together is in this blurry shot in the background of Ruby's cocoon hatching. Blake and Yang team up a bunch, obviously. Weiss and Yang did their one move together, but why couldn't all three of them been together for this fight more? Ruby returns! Hooray!
You're you! How?
I didn't mention this in my full Volume 9 review, but Blake's face in profile looks so weird to me here. Like, her upper lip area feels too big, but she doesn't seem to actually have an upper lip. It's so weird because the other two girls look fine. Why does Blake look like that? Ugh. Anyways, Cat charges at Ruby and the reflection in her eyes is a really nice touch. Ruby blocks the hit and the lighting here is so pretty. This whole volume actually had a lot of really amazing lighting and shading effects. I love how Ruby uses Crescent Rose in Scythe mode for most of this fight. It looks great. She does a couple of spinning strikes, knocking the cat backwards. You can see her regularly firing bullets to help propel her forward too. The white glow of her bullets really stand out here in the darker background. She plants her scythe into the tree and jumps on top of it, a move we haven't seen her do ever since the Red trailer. It's cool finally seeing this move happening in the show proper. As she goes flying, she uses her semblance to right herself back into the fight before she can get sent too far. She lands and does this really cool maneuver with her scythe behind her back, reminiscent of the spin move she and Crow did against the Sphinx in Volume 6. She follows up with a walking overhead spin, which again is something we haven't seen since the Red trailer. All of that whole volley is one shot. That's amazing. In case you don't know, doing one long take, especially with animation, is not easy. It's very time consuming, and it means you can't use a majority of the common cheats animators use to make things easier. Keeping this whole barrage as one really long shot is incredibly impressive, not only for its length, but the moves Ruby uses are all amazing looking, with several awesome references to classic moves we haven't seen in a long while, and a cohesive flow to her moveset is absolutely perfect. We get a nice close-up of the cat's face just to show you how much they are not having a good time fighting Ruby here. Check out the bend on Crescent Rose here. Wow, there's a lot of fantastic little details like that. Also, I love that they don't cop out using that really ugly looking stock spinning effect that they've been doing. They actually animate the full spin, even keeping Ruby's hands on Crescent Rose and in the right spots the whole time. That's awesome! It's a really nice attention to detail, and I love seeing it. Usually with these analysis vids, I manage to find weird little animation errors, usually clipping weirdness or body doubles or something, but this fight has had so much polish during the whole thing that there isn't anything like that to talk about. The cat catches her blade, but Ruby smartly uses her semblance to escape their grasp, pointing her barrel at the cat and firing point blank into their face. Suddenly, the rest of the girls appear, surrounding the cat. This is the only time we see the cat use their laser breath during this fight, which is crazy. Just like Neo's body doubles, I expected the laser breath to be a bigger contender during combat. The cat turns to hit Blake, who avoids with a shadow double, and it's literally on screen for only one frame. Have them on the screen longer. I can barely even register that these shadow doubles are here. Ying comes in, now all semblancy and stuff, and blasts the cat with a 1-2 punch. Weiss freezes the cat's feet in place and finally whips out a summon. Fun fact, this is the first time Weiss has summoned a full Nevermore. She's only summoned its wings before now. It's a bit short-lived because it immediately gets eviscerated by the cat, but hey, it was still cool to see. The cat busts free from the ice to evade Ruby, launching into the air, but Ruby quickly chases after. Blake and Yang also come flying up, and Weiss summons a multitude of glyphs for everyone to bounce off of in rapid succession, which is another move we haven't seen since Volume 2's train fight. The amount of really cool moves we haven't seen since the Poser era making a comeback during this encounter is really nice. It feels like someone was finally listening to the fans who lamented how much they wanted to see cool moves like these coming back to the show. And I really love it. It's such a nice touch. Weiss joins in for the final hit too. Look, she's finally getting to participate with the others. Yay! Did you notice that this is colored the same way as the first sequence from the opening? Look, you can tell because Blake is an indecisive brat who can't choose if her color is purple or black. It's black, by the way. It should be black. Even Weiss committed to going with full white here. This is the coolest finisher blow ever. This is also the only time in the entire show that all 4 of the main girls do a big combo move together. This is what makes me think this might be my favorite fight of the volume. It's so nice to finally see this actually happening. All 4 girls actually together. Yes. And that's the end of the fight. The cat's small again, and Neo uses her body doubles to kill them. I don't know why Team Ruby couldn't have gotten to finish off their foe, but hey, at least they're gone. This fight is obviously a mixed bag. Funny enough though, I have actually very few gripes with the fight itself. My biggest issue is the bouncing back and forth from combat to talking scenes. Once the fighting is on screen, it's all really well done and creative as hell. Volume 9 might not have been everyone's cup of tea, but at least we can all agree how much love and detail went to the choreography and animation for this fight sequence. Especially with this being the big finale climax of the volume, I am really glad this still got all the love and attention it deserved. Shout out to my $10 patrons, you're all amazing. Nako, Cool Duck, Andrew, Ramiel, Valhalla Knight, Chamomile, G Extreme, Classy Critic, Noah Perkins, Sunny Shy, Jake, Amber, Hype Man, Zero to Hero, Scaring Crows, Not All That Evil, Messiah Complex, Jacob, Virus, Ben's Sketchbook, The Watcher, Omega Fighter, Trash, Wild Pilot, and The Infinity Effect. Yeah, what do you all think of this fight? Do you have any issues with the actual combat itself? What do you think about jumping back and forth between this and Ruby's sequences? Any thoughts about the combo moves people were doing? About Neocat and their stuff that they had going on? What do you think about the zombie Ruby clones? I really wish we played around with that a lot more. What do you think of that giant, cool, awesome finale attack? Any and all thoughts and opinions about this fight and any of the other fights, leave them in the comments below. I'd love to see them, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.